users, Alex here, your VRay guide, and today we finally get to do some exteriors. Yay! As you can see here, I have a nice simple house that we can do our tests on. No textures, no nothing, just balancing the lighting and not even having all that vegetation here, because this is obviously gonna slow our render. But I just wanted to show you an example of how you can set up your lights, balance it with HDRI, VRay Sun, and of course some IES lights for the landscaping. Okay, so let's get to our work right away. I'm gonna open my 3ds Max scene right here. And the first thing is, of course, I wanna go and put a camera. A really well positioned camera. So we can put somewhere here. As you can see, all the stuff full of grass. You don't really need to model everything unless you see it. So I just added some detail on that side of a house because this is the renders that I'm going to go for. And as you see here, this angle doesn't really match. I mean, I'm standing inside, but the property is pretty small. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go select my camera and I'm going to go with a little bit wider angle. So I'm gonna go about 28. That's about the right one. So I usually test 35. If 35 is okay, I go with it. But in my purpose, maybe 30, something like that. That would work good for my purpose. Another thing is to do, maybe I can zoom in a little bit so I'll have less of that foreground. What I want to do, I want to get nice perspective look, nice kind of stretchy look, but not too much, not too exaggerated. And we can use some helpers here on VRay physical camera in order to get that effect right. So I want to get also a little bit of a side of my building, so I'm using horizontal tilt right here just to get, as you can see, I'm kind of tilting and shifting all my houses, getting into the right perspective, and the things on the foreground kind of coming a little bit further to us and things on the background going a little bit far away. So now I want to get a little bit better balanced composition somewhere here. So I'm going to select my target and pull it up a little bit so I'll get a little bit more of a sky and less of a ground. Now, as you can see, all my building got also tilted. So in order to fix it, I need to use vertical tilt. I'm doing it manual. I can do the guess and let computer guess it, but I like to do it manually just because I don't really like really straight lines, so I kind of get it more organic look by going maybe 1 point up or 1 point down. And another thing that I can do is, as you can see, I'm leaving so far everything by default. I'm not really changing anything, but we can do also maybe a little bit distortion on the camera. So that's a little bit too much, but somewhere just a slight distortion point. 1.6, no, that's too much. 0.1, just a little bit, just a slightly on the sides will get a little bit curved. It's more for the feeling and less for the look. We can also do all those effects in post-production, which is much more advisable because you can go back and forth. But for this example, I just want to show you that those options exist. And now we can move to the next stage, is of course adding the light. So let's go ahead and add our ambient light. Ambient light is the first light that I usually add, and I use HDRI maps to do that because let's put it on dome mode. That's the most basic and elementary lighting that's supposed to go into your scene. And after finding it, adjusting it, you can find better better position for the sun. Some people like to start from the sun just to get the right direction of the sun. I like to start from HDRI map just to see where more light is going. Okay, so the light was added. Now we need to go and add the map. We're gonna use HDRI map. It's right here. VRay HDRI. Open my editor slot and drag and drop this guy right here. We're gonna use instance. Gonna go select our map. As you can see, I'm using Peter Guthrie maps, but you can go and check out HDRI Hub. They have a lot of cool maps here. All this stuff is for free, or you just type free HDRI map on Google and you can find a lot of maps. The thing here is to get the good HDRI map that have enough pixel depth to throw enough lighting, so it also will create shadows. And in order to enhance shadows later, we're going to add V-Ray Sun. But it's very important to have really good HDRI map as a start. So we loaded our HDRI map. Now we of course need to put it on a spherical mode. And those are multipliers of processing and overall render multipliers. We're going to touch them a little bit later. But as now on the spherical mode, very important, we want to go and try and do some tests. First test render, see how this stuff goes, how this stuff looks. So nothing fancy, 1200, save your map as a test. On global switches, we're going to use the multi-text, the clay texture. As you can see, it's just almost white but not pure white, and I like adding edges, edge texture, and give it a little bit kind of grayish look. That way we will have nice defined lines of geometry, so we can see geometry better, and things going through stuff, you'll be able to see that too. Sometimes just the clay material will not show you those. So that's also a cool trick. On the global DMC, 0.006 to go faster, and the adaptive image filter. Pretty basic stuff. This is maybe a little bit too much. But just remember that the trick of this stage is to move as fast as possible to get as fast as possible results, because you want to see how your light's responding after changing multipliers, and getting fast feedback is the key for moving really fast in this stage. All right, so let's see what we got here. I'm gonna click C and go to my render and render my camera. I'm not using any vegetation because this stuff just gonna, you know, slow my render. I also should probably hide the grass and the stones because those guys not really adding to anything. But in some cases they can indicate of how good the ambient light, the ambient occlusion light, the secondary bouncing of the lights. On flat objects, it's hard to see, only where the objects, you know, on the corners where the objects get connect, where the shadows get all collected together. This is the best spots to see this. All right, so we can see that we're getting pretty good shadows here. I mean, not enough light. The light is kind of standing behind the house. So what I want to do, I want to rotate it a little bit more to the side. We want to do it clockwise. So I'm gonna go to our HDRI map, and the horizontal rotation we're gonna put 10, so this map is going to rotate more to the side. What we can do is maybe just leave one object, Control Q, and do some renders here, see how this stuff goes. So I'm selecting now the position of my HDRI map. Right now my HDRI map standing directly behind the house, so I actually want to get it a little bit more to the side. This is pretty good, so we can see that it's kind of throwing more light on the back of my building, on the right side of my building. So I'm gonna stick to that. You can keep rotating your map and, you know, finding better angles for it, but for the sake of this example, I'm just gonna stick to that and move on adjusting my camera. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna go higher with my eyes, so I'm gonna put 200 here. And I'm leaving everything by default. You know, in interiors we use f4, but for those guys I'm gonna leave it as it is, because for exteriors, if you go and shoot real photography, you're probably gonna be around 11, you know, 11, 13 of f number if you do have the DSLR camera. So practice it, it will give you really good heads up on what's going on. All right, so now let's render and see how this guy goes. It's very important to throw enough ambient light into the scene, and of course if you throw too much it will overtake your VRay sun, so it's kind of needs to be balanced. It's a secondary lighting, so it's always comes as a second intensity for the shadows and everything. The sun will be the first, but generally speaking I'm getting nice results here. I'm getting more on the side. This side is not lit, so my map's pretty balanced here. However, I'm getting this black line, which is a horizon line that can be fixed by adding VRay plane, so we'll cover the whole area with the plane. But generally speaking, this is a good way to go. And let's add VRay plane and add VRay sun and see how this stuff works. So now I'm gonna add VRay plane right here, and I'm gonna go and add VRay sun right here. Even before I add VRay sun, I know that I'm gonna get very kind of casted shadows, so I'm gonna go and do the size multiplier. How big is the sun? I want to have really nice and soft shadows, so I'm gonna put it on 6, 5, 6, 10. The higher you go, the softer shadows you get. And the intensity multiplier, probably gonna put 0, 1, because naturally my sun will be really strong, so I don't really want my sun overexpose the image VRay sky in the scene. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna click yes, and maybe I'll get to do some longer shadows here, so I'm gonna pull it somewhere here. Oops, somewhere around here, and extend a little bit more behind somewhere here, and go a little higher, something like this. Yeah, I guess that's good enough. All right, so now let's make a test render, see how these guys work. And after balancing that, we can go and start adjusting our interior lights and exclude all the glass objects, of course, so we can see through. That's another feature of VRay. And level 1, of course, you're gonna have all the glass, water, everything that is translucent, you want to have it out of your image. All right, so we're getting very low presence of the sun, almost none, so we're gonna go and increase the intensity multiplier, maybe put 0.5, see how this works, because we still want to have some of the sun hitting this side of a building in a much better way. All right, so here it is. We're getting this nice defined line of the sun, which is pretty good. So we get one side lit and one side is in the shade. Maybe we can increase a little bit more the multiplier to go somewhere about maybe 8. And do the test render, see how these guys would go. Alright, so the sun looks good. Getting the nice exposure here, it's just pretty good. One side lit, one side in the shade. Now we can go, we even get some nice shadow here from the sun, which is also pretty cool. And now we can go and kind of adjust the same position to match it a little bit better, because we don't want to have any mismatch. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and create another camera and gonna put it towards the sun. So I'm gonna select and put another camera, and I'm going to remove all those horizontal and vertical shifts that we did. Gonna go out the ISO, select the sun, and together with that camera of actually getting my sun to match my HDRI map. So this is the sun. Camera 2, target. So we're going to put it more frontal with the HDRI as well, or something like this. This will give us a good understanding of where the sun in compared to the map located. And now we can do another render. So this is the location for the sun. And now if we go and take this guy to the environment map, this is another thing that I do. Just drag and drop. And I'm gonna make copy to the material slot and make it instance. So we can change the settings, and this will actually not affect my light map. All right, so this is render. Let's duplicate that and let's go and make another render now. Since we got our map, our environment map already on, we will get it reflected in our background. So here it is. This is, if we put those images one besides another, we can see that the sun is actually needs to be a little bit rotated towards us somewhere here. All right, to get the right position. Now in my HDRI image there is not much sun, but if you get an HDRI image with an actual sun, this is what you should do in order to align the sun, the VRay sun and the HDRI map more properly. But for my example, this is good enough. I can go now and delete the camera because I don't need it, and I have my sun matching my map here. What I can go now and do is to deselect water in my windows and start adding ambient light to it. And we're gonna go, we have the front glass also. Click OK. So we excluded all the glass objects, and now we can click render and see what's inside those rooms, and we can start placing different lights and adjusting them in order to get the right balance. As you can see, that's a kind of game that we're playing with, with balancing the lights and compared to the environment and all that stuff that we have in our foreground or background. But generally speaking, the effects that we want to get from this is the perfect combination of light, shadow, and contrast between the objects. Right, so this is pretty good. It's going in the right direction. Now I can go inside my rooms and start placing lights here, maybe some lights at the entrance. As you can see, I have some old spots. I can use IES lights. So the trick here is to start adding lights one by one. That means you can add a light to one room. Oops, it's dumb. Let's make it plain. Adjust it, maybe clone it, and then start adding light to another room. And then you can start adding lights to your landscaping and garden. And by doing that, you should probably hide and unhide different lights. After you set it up, you can hide it so that you can concentrate better on the intensity of that light. So for my example, let's put 10. Whoops. Because 1 probably gonna be very, very low, and we're gonna give a little bit of an orange, yellowish kind of color to it, like that. And in order to save the time, we can go and do some region renders, so we don't actually render the whole image, because the whole image is already have the right setup. So we just go inside those regions and let them render and see how they work. So something like this. As you can see, I'm also not rendering the whole image till the end. I'm just, using pre-calculation of light cache. This way I can, really move forward, really kind of gallop between my stages and not be drifting on the spot. So this is a little bit too low right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna increase this light and give it a little bit higher. All right, this is pretty good. Renders fast. Pretty clean render also. As you see, my option here, follow the mouse, whatever I'm positioning my mouse, this is where it's gonna render. So that's nice. That's nice. I don't want to get my room too exposed. I can kind of fix it later, but generally speaking, this is nice amount of light. So I'm gonna clone it, and just to give it more organic look, I'm gonna put one light a little bit stronger. So maybe put 75. Maybe 75 is a little bit too much in compared to 50, so let's do that 65. All right, so it's naturally some room will be lighter, some room will be darker, but generally speaking, that's the organic look that comes from having different intensity to lights. Because most of the lights, they won't be they won't have the same exact bulbs, they don't have the same exact lamps, so they will not throw the same amount of light into your room. And By doing that, you will get more natural kind of exposure within your interiors. Alright, so this is also pretty cool. A little bit lighter result. And you can see all the lines here of the geometry. We can see how the geometry goes. All the lines here pretty defined. So that's a good way to see if a model, you know, if your model is clean or not. All right. So we got both rooms. Now we can take this light, duplicate it, and maybe put it in the entrance, because we have lights in our entrance also. I'm gonna make a copy of it, and let's put it here, just in our entrance, like this. Maybe it's a little bit too big, so I'm gonna make it 80, 80. Kind of square looking. Lower it a little down. Click. Oh, no. We're gonna do the regions here also. So before you render the entire image, make sure your regions are good. So this is the region that I'm gonna render. Oops, we're actually not rendering the right part. So I'm gonna take that back, because obviously exterior light's gonna have way more exposure than the interior lights. I mean, the minute you take your light outside, it just throws more light everywhere. And the interior lights, they've been blocked by the glass, so the light there is a little bit more diluted. So let's see how this works. Oh, that's a lot of light right there. Nice and soft, which is pretty good. And after doing this, we can take it and duplicate it, put it on the other side, which is fine. Make it copy, and maybe change the light a little bit. The tonality here need to be a little bit orange. Maybe to have a little bit more exposure. Let's put like 75. Okay, so that's it's another render of that area. After that, we can move on to our landscaping. For the landscaping, I'm probably gonna use IES lights. There is a big library of 30 IES lights that I share with all my students in my trainings. You can also probably, if you Google it or try to download it, you can find it. I don't know where I got it. Don't remember, it was so long ago, but most of professional 3D artists they use that library of 30 IES lights. Alright, so now we're getting here also nice and soft illumination, a little bit different from this one, which is good, because we don't really want to have the same tonality of lights everywhere, because it's never the same. It's always got this changes, but generally speaking, this is going a really good direction. All right, now we can go and add some IES lights and test them. VRay IES right here. I'm gonna click T. With the target, we don't need the target. Just Just gonna bring the target back and kind of F, Z, pull the target up. I'm just gonna cancel it. If you're having difficulty selecting the lights, just go on the lights here. You'll be able to work with your lights, move them up and down. And if we go and select the IES file, we got a lot of different IES here. Let's try this, number 12. See? And we can just, maybe remove the target because we don't really need the target. Go right here on the side, click render, again region. Let's see where this light at. We don't really get much of this guy. We see a little bit here. Alright, so when you work with IES lights and they throw a lot of different, shadows here and there, it kind of becomes more of like designing with light and shadow, because they have this cool aspect of getting really clear and defined shadows to the objects. So after adding all the landscape architecture and everything, you get to work with it a little bit more. So let's go higher with our, if we overexpose it, we can always go down. And color, I like actually giving it like orange kind of color. Human eye looks for that fake detail. It kind of happens naturally when you open a 3D image and it's really photorealistic. It's just because it's full of detail and your eye cannot stop on one thing and say, oh, it's not perfect. Your eye just scattering the whole place, going in and out, and kind of seeing a lot of things, a lot of imperfections. If you have, similar things one to another, you don't get much realism because it's all look fake. So try to get that variety of things. All right. So we got our light, which is pretty good, and I kind of like it. So what now we can do? We can take this guy and we can duplicate it. Let's go like this, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kind of covered the whole garden here, pretty good. And if we go and see our last frame buffer, and we render this whole area here, you don't really need to have a lot of variety. It's just the variety that needs to be in the rooms, in the spaces. This is where you get stuff to be a little bit different. But when it comes to the IES lights, they're pretty much the same. So I would just duplicate them with instance option and not use the regular copy. All right. So here we go. We get nice shadow here, we get dark areas, we get nice separation between the lights. I like that triangle here, which is working pretty good. And I think that's the way to go. After that, I can also add some lights under the stairs here, which could be really cool. I can add lights on top of this. So generally speaking, this is a really cool model to test your things out. So if you want to try it out, you are more than welcome to download it. Below this video, you'll find the link for downloading it and playing around with that scene. It was made for one of my friends, and we actually never accomplished it. So I'm giving it a try. I'm giving it for you to give it a try and make the best you can by using my methods, my easy peasy step-by-step methods to balancing and finding the right lights and the right combination of lights for your scene. All right, so this render is done pretty fast. No need to, drift in one spot and start adjusting, but generally speaking, I can see what's already going on in this scene. Now I can start adding more plants. I can start adding more vegetation. Again, everything in white, so I'll be able to see better where my light's going, where my shadow's going, do the design with light and shadow. And after I'm done with that, I can move on to the level 2, which is materials. You don't really change camera after you move to level 2, so this is the right stage to find your camera. So I can put one camera here, I can put another camera, maybe make it a little bit frontal, just because I already worked with it. I just need to reset the vertical and the horizontal shifts. Just maybe the horizontal and leave the vertical. Let's see how these guys work here. Right here, it's pretty good. I'm getting enough balanced composition of space. Maybe I'm standing a little bit too high, so I'm gonna go lower. People are not usually that high. So something like this would be a little bit more realistic and looking kind of maybe a little bit up to the sky. And again, we need to find better numbers for the vertical shift. So let's make it a little bit more interesting. I'll put 77 just to give it a little bit more organic look. All right, and let's see our frame buffer. I'm gonna go out from the regions and render it. So you can render, get your images, get your cameras. It's not always you can find the perfect combination for all the cameras. So right now I'm rendering the front angle. So for the front angle, this looks good. If I'll switch to the back angle, it might not look as good as it looks on the front angle. But generally speaking, when this stuff gonna get more vegetation and more objects to it, it will look much more alive and much more cooler. Before I go, let me show you another cool trick to get your images really well done. All right, so this is my raw render per se, and you can see it's a little bit overwashed. So let me show you some cool techniques that will help you to get the right contrast and the right balance. So you will see what way your image is going, if it's the right way you want to go or not, if there is something you need to increase or decrease. All right, so first thing I do is a little curves. I fix my curves just to get a little bit more contrast. Already better. Then I can do some color balance. I always do that yellowish reddish tones on the midtones, and on the highlights most of the time I'm getting more cyan and blue, and on the shadows I'm getting more dark tones, more bluish, and kind of trying to get that thing. I always hide and unhide. So we stayed in pretty much in the same tonality, but we kind of removed the reddish and we got, more of a sky looking. And we have nice contrast, nice separation between things. So another thing is to add contrast, of course. And we're gonna use the contrast here. Something like this. And now we can do levels just to get it really nice in the right, something like that. Again, the color balance went really blue, so we can adjust it one more time. I'm gonna put another white balance up on that. See if I can get it right. So something like this. All right, so I fixed the blue, height and height, so I'm getting nice tonality to it. Now what you can do is you can check if you're doing the right thing. What I do is I add black and white, and I can see on black and white what areas needs to pop out and if I can read the things good. So from going to this was really washed out and I couldn't read anything. Started adding things, and now a lot of stuff just, you know, reads really well. It's still a little bit bluish, so what I can do is I can fix that a little bit better by adjusting my color balance here to be less blue. Yeah, something about it. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm getting nice natural tonality into my image. And if you want to see if your lights are, you know, overwashed, or you need to make them a little bit more with intensity or less stronger, more stronger, you can use some lighting techniques. Oops. With the white brush, what I do here is kind of add a little bit, Control Shift F, I'm reducing the tonality. And now I can take this map and switch it to soft light. As you see, I'm getting a little bit better light, but my stuff here is getting washed out. So I can fix that by filling up my image with 50% gray, like pure gray, switching it to overlay mode, and then going to the burning tool and just getting the right detail here. Which is pretty cool. So I got some layers that throw in light, and upon them I have some layers that bringing me the contrast back. All right. So same thing, you can darken some places, or if you switch to dodge tool, you can make it lighter. If it's too dark, you know, you can make it a little bit lighter here. And if the bush is too dark. But generally speaking, this is how you paint your light. And see if your image is going in the right direction or not. Again, see that? I'm getting much better and fixing a lot of stuff, and this layer helps me a lot to understand and the relation between the things in my scene. Alright, so that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It was a little bit long, but very concentrated, and in a few days we're going to open our exterior challenge, so make sure to subscribe at all this video so you will get more free stuff and more core information about the exterior VRay training that is coming your way next week. Alright, so download the scene, share it with your friends. This is Alex, your VRay guide. See you soon.